Nurse Mary, novels and TV. Dexter's first confirmed kill was Nurse Mary, a nurse who targeted her own patients. Instead of saving them, she poisoned them with overdoses, making their deaths appear natural. Harry suspected her crimes and allowed Dexter to act. In a primitive version of his later ritual, Dexter stabbed her to death, marking the beginning of his path as a killer. The character is the same in the novels, except that Dexter also collected a blood slide. He did it from his very first kill in the books. Juan Reynes. Juan was a pimp responsible for the murder of Harry Morgan's confidential informant and her partner. The justice system failed to convict him. With Harry's knowledge, a young Dexter brought Reynes to a makeshift kill table in their garage and dismembered him. This was one of the defining moments that cemented Dexter's trajectory as the Bay Harbor Butcher and ultimately drove Harry to suicide. Cal Rooney. Cal was a carnival night watchman who used his position to stalk and murder women. He had access to the fairgrounds after hours and preyed on victims in isolated areas. In a flashback sequence, Dexter is shown capturing Rooney and killing him in a ritual setting with a cleaver. Tony Ferrer, Original Sin. Tony was a ruthless Miami loan shark who preyed on desperate Cuban immigrants. Those who failed to pay were executed. Under the alias Patrick Bateman, Dexter infiltrated Ferrer's life, overpowered him, and lured him to an abandoned area.
Unfortunately, unlike you, I've got an edge that money can't scratch.
No!
He was strapped to a table, killed and dumped in the swamp. This marked one of Dexter's earliest fully premeditated ritual kills. Anthony Moretti, Original Sin. Anthony, also known as Mad Dog, was a feared hitman responsible for dozens of murders. Dexter selected him after finding his case in department archives. Although Dexter prepared the ritual, Moretti broke free and ran into the street, where he was struck and killed by a truck. Even though Dexter didn't land the final blow, the pursuit directly caused Moretti's death, and Dexter claimed him as a victim. Levi Reed, Original Sin. Levi was a serial home invasion killer who murdered 8 people, including 2 children. He escaped conviction due to a faulty alibi. Following Harry's instruction, Dexter tracked Reed down, sedated him with a veterinary drug, and placed him on a kill table lined with photos of his victims. Dexter then stabbed him in the chest, making Reed one of his first true ritual kills under the code. Aaron Spencer, Original Sin. Aaron was a respected homicide captain and Harry Morgan's close friend. Secretly, he abducted and killed children as revenge against his unfaithful wife.
Let's just get it over with.
After a first failed attempt, Dexter eventually drugged then stabbed Spencer in the chest and dumped his body in Biscayne Bay. This betrayal of Harry's trust reinforced Dexter's role as judge, jury, and executioner. Marchetti. Shown only in a Season 5 montage, Marchetti was one of Dexter's earlier off-screen kills that he was hunting during his first date with Rita. Little is revealed about him beyond being one of Dexter's pre-series victims. His inclusion reminds the audience that Dexter's ritual long predates the events of Miami Metro. Mike Donovan, TV and novels. Mike was a choir teacher and a trusted figure in the community. Behind closed doors, he was a predator who abducted and molested young boys, then buried their bodies beneath a cabin. Dexter uncovered the evidence and confronted Donovan with the truth. In that same cabin, Donovan was forced to face the lives he destroyed.
Open your eyes and look at what you did!
Dexter slit his throat, making Donovan the first on-screen kill and an introduction to his ritual. In the novels, he's known as Father Donovan and was Dexter's 37th blood slide collected. Jamie Jaworski. From the novel Darkly Dreaming Dexter, Jaworski is introduced as a pedophile school janitor. He targeted blonde girls around 12-13 years old, recorded his crimes and kills, then posted them online. Dexter identified him as a target, tortured him into confessing, and killed him at a construction site. This version of the story presents a darker Dexter who takes sadistic pleasure in the kill, unlike his later portrayals. Jamie Jaworski, TV series. Jamie is reimagined as a valet by day and a sadistic predator by night. He kidnapped Jane Saunders and murdered her in a snuff film he posted online. A botched search warrant let him walk free. Dexter confirmed his guilt by identifying a tattoo from the video and followed him to a construction site.
But I'm not sorry.
Of course not. No, I'm not sorry either.
Jaworski admitted his crimes without remorse. Dexter responded with a swift decapitation using a meat cleaver. Matt Chambers. Matt was a repeat offender who committed 5 hit and runs across multiple states. Each time, he escaped justice through fake injuries, new identities, and exploiting legal loopholes. Dexter met Chambers by posing as a fellow alcoholic. Once alone, Chambers was strapped down.
I didn't do anything.
Some people believe that. Problem is, I don't.
Confronted with the deaths he caused, and stabbed in the chest, ending the cycle of reckless killings. Alex Timmons. Early cuts in TV. Alex is a Marine sniper who used his training as an excuse to kill. During the Gulf War, he murdered 3 civilian children. Dexter confirmed his crimes and captured him, preparing a ritual kill. On the table, Timmons admitted to his murders.
Yes, I did it. Is that what you want to hear?
In early cuts, he was fearful and begged for his life. In the TV flashback, however, he remained unmoved when faced with his victims' photos. Either way, Dexter's knife ended his career as a sniper-turned-killer. Gene Marshall. Early cuts in TV. Gene was a wealthy arsonist obsessed with fire. He set buildings ablaze with people trapped inside, savoring the destruction. In early cuts, Dexter had Marshall locked in his trunk when he suddenly woke up and attacked. Marshall slashed at him with a knife, forcing Dexter to improvise and kill him by running over his head with a car. In the TV series, Gene only appears as a brief flashback memory when Dexter disposes of his slide box.
Have you ever watched someone burn alive?
Shown as a more typical ritual kill. Cindy Landon. Early cuts in TV. Cindy was a black widow who poisoned wealthy husbands for profit. Each death looked natural, allowing her to inherit their wealth. Dexter posed as her type, drugged her, and prepared the kill. In the TV series, she awoke on the table and tried to seduce her way out of death.
You if you let me go.
In early cuts, the scene was far more theatrical. Cindy was bound inside a magician's box for the classic saw the woman in half trick, and Dexter killed her with a chainsaw. Dr. Emmett Meridian. Emmett was a respected psychiatrist who manipulated vulnerable patients into suicide. Instead of helping, he preyed on despair. Dexter went undercover as a patient to confirm his suspicions.
I'm gonna tell you something that I've never told anyone before.
Okay. I'm a serial killer.
Dexter even thanked him for helping him work through his issues before cutting his throat, one of the rare times Dexter acknowledged irony in his ritual. Jorge and Valerie Castillo. They posed as a married couple running a salvage yard. Behind the facade, they trafficked undocumented immigrants, exploiting or murdering those who couldn't pay. Dexter uncovered their operation and captured them both. In the kill room, strapped side by side, Jorge remained unrepentant while Valerie tried to excuse herself as a victim of circumstance.
How do you love each other? You're like me. You make it work. How?
After getting marriage advice, Dexter killed them both, ending their brutal trade. Brian Moser. Brian was the ice truck killer and Dexter's biological brother. He killed sex workers, drained their blood, and staged their bodies as elaborate displays only Dexter could understand. When the truth came out, Brian offered Dexter a life without the code, but it meant killing Deborah. Dexter drugged him and placed him on the table.
You've done more to deserve my knife than anyone.
Choosing his adoptive sister and the code over his blood, Dexter slit Brian's throat with a scalpel, staging it as a suicide. Little Chino. Little Chino was a towering gang enforcer who killed with a machete, including the brutal murder of a child. He evaded conviction through fear and intimidation. Dexter botched his first attempt to kill him, allowing Chino to escape. On his second try, Dexter succeeded, capturing him in an elevator, sedating him with an elephant tranquilizer dart.
You kill me. What do you leave behind?
A world without you.
Killing him in a prepared kill room. Roger Hicks. Roger was a slick used car salesman who hated women. He thought they were ungrateful, so he assaulted and murdered them in staged accidents. Dexter confirmed his pattern and took him to a kill room that he set up in a house that Hicks killed a previous victim.
I'll have them open it up. I'm the manager. They do what I say.
The manager's name is Rick Buxton.
Well, yeah, but I've been there longer than he has.
You've been there 3 months.
At the other lot.
Hicks tried to talk his way out, still spinning lies. Dexter ended the charade with a stab to the chest. Ken Olson. Ken was a copycat killer who tried to imitate the Bay Harbor butcher by killing a petty burglar. Unlike Dexter, he had no code or ritual, just sloppy theatrics.
Why are you so interested in the Bay Harbor butcher? Holy shit. You're him.
Dexter captured him and took him to the abandoned train car where Olson tried to kill his third victim. Olson boasted he was just like Dexter. Dexter responded by decapitating him with a cleaver, eliminating both his arrogance and his attempt at imitation. Santos Jimenez. Santos was one of the men who butchered Dexter's mother in front of him as a child, the event that shaped his entire life. Years later, Dexter tracked him down working in a remote bar. He beat Jimenez severely, but initially let him live. Later, Jimenez tried to kill Dexter with Lila's help. Dexter found Jimenez at a cabin he used for his drug business and decapitated him with a chainsaw. This kill wasn't about the code, it was personal vengeance. Jose Garza. Jose was a drug trafficker searching for a missing shipment. He unknowingly contacted Jimenez's phone, which Dexter had kept. Fearing exposure at the cabin where Dokes was being held, Dexter lured Garza in, sedated him, and killed him in front of Dokes. He dismembered Garza with a saw, leaving the remains inside the cabin. Esteban and Teo Famosa. The Famosa brothers were drug runners who encountered Dokes while he was trying to escape captivity. They captured him, but Dexter intervened. Esteban was killed first off-screen. After Dokes created a distraction, Teo was then shot in the chest by Dexter, preventing the brothers from exposing him and keeping Dokes under his control. Lila West. Lila was Dexter's Narcotics Anonymous sponsor and eventual girlfriend. At first, she seemed to accept Dexter for who he was, but her obsession turned dangerous. She murdered Detective Dokes by blowing up the cabin where he was held, and later attempted to kill Rita's children. When she fled to Paris, Dexter followed. He drugged her and stabbed her in the chest, ending her destructive hold over his life. Oscar Prado. Oscar was the younger brother of Assistant District Attorney Miguel Prado. Dexter encountered him in a drug dealer's house while searching for Freebo. During a struggle, Dexter stabbed Oscar in the chest in self-defense, killing him instantly. This was not a planned kill, and did not follow the codifal, the first time Dexter truly broke it. Fred Freebo Bowman. Freebo was a low-level drug dealer and the target Dexter originally pursued when Oscar died. Dexter eventually found him hiding in Tegan's home. Freebo fought back, but Dexter tranquilized him and dragged him to the garage where he thrust a bayonet into his neck, killing him. This kill was both about enforcing the code and correcting the mistake of Oscar Prado's death. Nathan Martin. Nathan was a registered sex offender who stalked children in grocery stores and on Miami's beaches. Dexter caught him photographing Astor, Rita's daughter. That night, Dexter confronted Martin in his home. Without the usual ritual or table, he strangled him with a garrote, saying,
Nobody hurts my children.
a kill driven by paternal instinct rather than the code. Ethan Turner. Ethan was a professional predator who seduced and married wealthy women before killing them for their money. Twice he escaped conviction through technicalities. Miguel Prado brought him up in conversation, and Dexter did the vetting. He tracked him onto a cruise ship, sedated him with M99, and killed him while out at sea. His body was dismembered and dumped overboard through the cabin porthole. Clemson Galt. Galt was a member of the Aryan Brotherhood who murdered his pregnant girlfriend and orchestrated multiple killings from inside prison. With Miguel Prado's help, Dexter staged an escape for Galt and led him to a kill room. Despite Miguel's interest in participating, Dexter completed the ritual alone, stabbing Galt in the chest. Camilla Fig. Camilla was a longtime family friend of the Morgans and a record supervisor for Miami Metro. She was one of the few people who truly cared for Dexter. When she was dying of cancer, she asked Dexter to help end her suffering. At first he refused, clinging to the code, but eventually he returned with her favorite dessert, a slice of key lime pie laced with sodium pentothal.
You finally brought me the perfect pie.
She ate, smiled, and passed peacefully. It was the only time Dexter killed purely out of mercy. Miguel Prado. Miguel, Oscar's older brother and Miami's assistant district attorney, befriended Dexter after Oscar's death. Their friendship unraveled when Miguel pursued personal vendettas, murdering his rival Ellen Wolf outside the code. Realizing Miguel was too dangerous, Dexter set a trap, drugged him, and placed him on the kill table.
I accept you. I accept you, Dexter, like a brother.
I killed my brother. I killed yours too.
Using a garrote, Dexter strangled Miguel to death, then left him in the park partially skinned, staged to resemble a Skinner murder. George King, the Skinner. George, known as the Skinner, was a sadistic torturer who kidnapped and flayed his victims alive. While hunting for Freebo, King captured Anton Briggs, who was rescued by Deborah and Quinn. He later kidnapped Dexter. The two fought, but Dexter overpowered him, snapped his neck, and staged the scene as a suicide by dropping the body in front of police. Benito Benny Gomez. Benny was a former boxer with a history of violent assaults. In court, Dexter accidentally brought the wrong evidence, allowing Gomez to walk free after one of his victims died. Dexter considered Gomez his responsibility and corrected the mistake. He tracked him to his trailer, sedated him, and transported him to an abandoned gym where he had prepared a kill room inside the boxing ring. Dexter stabbed him in the heart, ending his streak of brutality. With no time to dispose of the body, he hid it in a punching bag. Later, after a sleep-deprived car accident left him with temporary amnesia, he rediscovered Gomez's corpse still stuffed inside. Zoe Kruger. Zoe was a corrupt police officer who staged the murder of her husband and daughter to look like it was done by drug dealer Darius Ray. Evidence pointed back to her, but she covered her tracks expertly. Dexter confirmed her guilt, and when Kruger realized he was investigating her, she threatened him directly. She broke into his home, but Dexter was waiting. He sedated her and took her home, where he turned her daughter's bedroom into a kill room.
You're that good? Or that good?
You gonna rape and kill me?
What is it with you and rape? No one's raping anyone.
Killing, on the other hand.
He slit her throat, ending the facade of the grieving widow. Jonathan Farrow. Jonathan was a famous fashion photographer with a reputation for abusing women. When one of his models was found murdered, Dexter made him a target. He drugged and restrained Farrow, then killed him in ritual fashion. Later evidence suggested Farrow may have been innocent, marking one of the few times Dexter's code failed him. Stan Beaudry. Stan was a trucker who beat a prostitute to death with a crowbar and dumped her body along a highway. Contaminated evidence during the chain of custody let him walk free. With the FBI closing in on Trinity, Dexter needed a suspect to misdirect them. He killed Beaudry with a reciprocating saw in his own tractor trailer, turned kill room. After, Dexter planted evidence to frame him as Trinity and buy time to kill the real one. Arthur Mitchell, Trinity Killer. Arthur was perhaps Dexter's most dangerous adversary. Outwardly a church deacon and family man, he lived a secret life of ritual killings that followed a decades-long cycle. A kidnapped boy buried alive, a young woman in a bathtub, a mother pushed to her death, and a father bludgeoned with a hammer. Dexter studied him closely, hoping to learn how to balance dual lives, but ultimately discovered Arthur's family lived in terror. In the final confrontation, Dexter drugged him, strapped him to the table, and killed him with a hammer. But Arthur had already struck back, killing Rita and leaving Harrison crying in a pool of his mother's blood. Rankin. Rankin was a drunken, belligerent stranger who crossed paths with Dexter shortly after Rita's death. Overwhelmed with grief and guilt, Dexter snapped when Rankin mocked him in a bathroom.
My wife died and it was my fault.
Well, I'm real sorry for your loss, but your dead wife can suck my dick.
In a blind rage, Dexter beat him to death with a boat anchor. It was one of the rare kills driven purely by emotion rather than the code or ritual. Boyd Fowler. Boyd worked in Miami's dead animal pickup, but he used the job to hide a darker crime. He was part of a group that kidnapped, assaulted, tortured, and murdered at least 12 women by stuffing them in barrels of formaldehyde and electrocuting them. Dexter confirmed his guilt, sedated him, and performed his ritual. After killing him, Dexter realized there was a witness. Lumen, the 13th victim and only survivor. She became a central part of his life that season. Dan Mendel. Mendel was one of the men in the Barrel Girl gang. Lumen tracked him down and shot him, but he survived long enough to warn Jordan Chase. Dexter finished the job by snapping his neck, marking the first kill he and Lumen shared together. Lance Robinson. Lance targeted men through kink meetups, killing them and staging the scenes as autoerotic accidents. Dexter sedated him and left him bound in a trunk while he helped Lumen. When Robinson escaped, Dexter chased him down and strangled him with plastic wrap, narrowly escaping getting caught by Deborah and Masuka. Dexter posed the scene to appear as though they killed each other during a sexual encounter. Cole Harmon. Cole was Jordan Chase's head of security and enforcer in the Barrel Girl operation. He oversaw abductions and was responsible for most of the brutality against the women. Dexter tracked him to a hotel during a self-help conference. Harmon saw Lumen in the lobby, followed her, and almost killed her. Dexter got there just before he choked the life out of her. He sedated him and completed the ritual. It was the first kill that Lumen fully witnessed, deepening their partnership. Stan Liddy. Stan was a disgraced ex-cop hired by Quinn to spy on Dexter. He discovered too much, capturing incriminating footage of Dexter and Lumen. Liddy kidnapped Dexter, but he managed to break free during a struggle. Using Liddy's own knife, Dexter stabbed him in the chest, killing him inside the van. Ben and Roger. Ben and Roger were Miami paramedics who intentionally let and sometimes caused their patients to die in order to harvest and sell their organs. Dexter faked an injury to lure them in. After sedating both, he strapped them to gurneys inside their ambulance. Using the ambulance defibrillator paddles, Dexter executed them simultaneously with powerful electric shocks. Joe Walker. Joe was a former high school football star and abusive husband who murdered his wife Janet, a high school friend of Dexter's. At their 20-year reunion, blood evidence confirmed his crime. Dexter lured him to the groundskeeper's shack, drugged him, and strapped him down. He then smashed Walker's skull with a sledgehammer before stabbing him in the heart. Walter Kenny, the Tooth Fairy. Walter was once an infamous serial killer known as the Tooth Fairy, who murdered 16 prostitutes in the 1980s, strangling them and taking their lateral incisors as a trophy. He killed again, which brought Dexter to his door. By then, Kenny was a bitter old man living in a retirement home. After Walter attempted to kill him, Dexter subdued him, strapped him to a recliner in his own room.
All I ever cared about was killing, and I can't even do that right anymore. That's what you've got to look forward to. This is your future, and it includes adult diapers.
And suffocated him with a pillow. He staged it as a natural death, denying Kenny the fame he hoped for. Julio Benes. Julio was head of the Locos gang and responsible for multiple disappearances. He threatened brother Sam. Dexter confronted him in a barbershop and slashed his throat while he sat in a chair where he had previously killed Hector Nunez. This was an improvisational kill, not a ritual one. Nick. Nick was an ex-convict and former gang member who pretended to be reformed, but murdered brother Sam in cold blood. When Dexter confronted him and explained that Sam had forgiven him, Nick mocked Sam's faith and last words.
They got no proof. Nobody can do anything.
In a burst of rage, Dexter tackled him into the ocean and drowned him with his bare hands. Norm. Norm was a motel owner in Nebraska who extorted Dexter for money after stealing Dexter's knives and forensic kit. When Norm pulled a gun, Dexter reacted, impaling him through the stomach with a pitchfork. With no ocean to dump the body, Dexter improvises and drops it into a corn silo, leaving it buried in grain. Steve Dorsey. Steve, also known as Doomsday Adam, was a loyal disciple of Travis Marshall. Dexter confronted him aboard a yacht where he and his wife Beth killed Holly Benson under Travis Marshall's orders. Mistaking him for Travis, Dexter stabbed Dorsey in the upper abdomen, killing him. Beth Dorsey. Beth carried out the Wormwood attack under Travis Marshall's direction, attempting to release poisonous gas inside Miami Metro. Dexter intervened, forcing her into an interrogation room and sealing the door. As the gas filled the space, Beth died from her own weapon while Dexter held the door shut. Alberto. Alberto was the captain of a Cuban migrant boat that rescued Dexter at sea. Armed with a gun, he began robbing passengers and threatening a pregnant woman. Dexter grabbed a boat hook and impaled him, tossing him overboard to drown. Travis Marshall, the Doomsday Killer. Travis was a religious fanatic staging apocalyptic murders based on Revelation. He kidnapped Harrison for a final sacrifice. Dexter saved his son, captured Travis, and took him to the same church where his spree began.
I've known people who believed in God. They would never use their faith as a convenient excuse to kill 10 people.
There, Dexter secured him to the table and killed him with the sword Marshall had stolen. Deborah walked in on the crime scene, discovering Dexter's secret. It was then that Dexter dropped a bloodslide, a mistake that led Maria LaGuerta to reopen the Bay Harbor Butcher investigation. Victor Baskov. Victor was a hitman for the Koshka Brotherhood who killed Detective Mike Anderson. Dexter traced him to Miami International Airport, sedated him in a restroom, and dragged him into a nearby storage container. There, Dexter bludgeoned Victor to death with a fire extinguisher, before disposing of the body in the Gulf Stream. Ray Speltzer. Ray was a ritualistic killer who built elaborate mazes for his victims and wore a bull's head mask while hunting them. He escaped conviction in court and quickly killed again, and almost killed Deborah. While Dexter was in Speltzer's trailer looking for evidence, Speltzer knocked him unconscious and left him in the maze, but Dexter managed to escape. Later, Dexter turned the tables, knocking Speltzer out with a shovel, chained him inside a crematorium. Stabbed him, and then burned his body, along with his entire bloodslide collection. Unmaimed Hitman. Dexter broke into Victor Baskov's apartment, planning to ambush Isaac Serco, but instead encountered a hitman hired for the same job. The man pulled a gun, but Dexter struck first, slashing his throat and leaving the body inside the apartment. Oleg Mikic. Oleg was a sniper for the Koshka Brotherhood, sent to eliminate Isaac Serco. Dexter found him practicing at a public shooting range, timing his movements with the sound of gunfire. Dexter moved in, covered Oleg's mouth, and stabbed him through the back, pinning him to the bench. Clint McKay. Clint was Hannah McKay's estranged father, a con man and abusive figure who reappeared to blackmail her. Dexter lured him to a parking garage, sedated him with M99, and transported him on his boat, wrapped in plastic.
You got the devil inside you, boy.
No, I think it's just me.
Clint was stabbed through the heart before being dumped overboard, removing a toxic presence from Hannah's life. Hector Estrada. Hector was the last living member of the drug crew who killed Dexter's mother. He was the one who ordered the hit. LaGuerta arranged his release from prison to bait Dexter. Initially, Dexter trapped Estrada in a shipping container but let him go, realizing at the last minute it was a setup. Later, Dexter tracked him down again, sedated him, and brought him back to the same container, where he sat for 3 days with his brother Brian in their mother's blood. There, Dexter killed him with a knife through the heart, but only after using him to lure LaGuerta into the container, where Deb ultimately shot LaGuerta to save Dexter. Unidentified victim. At the start of Season 8, Dexter is briefly shown in a plastic-wrapped kill room wearing his face shield, holding a reciprocating saw. He leans toward an unseen victim. The body is never named, but it confirms that Dexter was still killing between seasons. Andrew Briggs. Andrew was a thief. Deborah stayed with him at a motel while she was working undercover to recover jewels he stole. He stepped in when Deborah and Dexter were having a heated discussion outside their room.
Take your hands off her.
Briggs pulled a knife during the struggle. Dexter wrestled it away and stabbed him in the chest, killing him in front of Deb. Ron Galuzzo. Ron was a former patient of Dr. Vogel and a cannibal posing as an exercise equipment salesman. Dexter discovered human remains in his refrigerator and crockpot, confirming his crimes. He drugged and restrained Galuzzo in his kitchen before killing him, preventing him from consuming any more victims. A.J. Yates. A.J. was another of Dr. Vogel's former patients who abducted women and kept them bound in a hidden room beneath his house. He had a foot fetish, keeping a shoe from each victim after breaking each toe and amputating one of their feet. When he kidnapped Vogel, Dexter tracked them to a vacant home belonging to one of Yates's clients. Noticing blood near the bed, Dexter drove a curtain rod straight through the mattress and into Yates's chest, killing him instantly. Oliver Saxon, the brain surgeon. Oliver, born Daniel Vogel, was Dr. Vogel's son and the true brain surgeon killer. He murdered multiple victims, removed sections of their brains, leaving them for his mom. He shot Deborah Morgan, ultimately leaving her in a coma. Although Saxon was arrested, Dexter confronted him in the police station.
No, I'm here to kill you with that pen.
Using a ballpoint pen, Dexter stabbed him in the throat, killing him in front of a surveillance camera. Officially ruled as self-defense, but Dexter knew it was personal vengeance. Deborah Morgan. Deborah was shot by Oliver Saxon. Soon after surgery, she threw a clot and suffered a massive stroke, leaving her brain dead and in a permanent coma. With the hospital preparing to evacuate everyone before Hurricane Laura hit, Dexter entered her room, shut off the ventilator, and held her hand as she passed. He then rolled her gurney to his boat and buried her at sea. Treating her death as both family and victim. Matt Caldwell. New blood. Matt was the arrogant son of local businessman Kurt Caldwell. Years earlier, he drunkenly crashed a boat into another, killing 5 people, and his father used his wealth to cover it up. In Iron Lake, Matt illegally hunted and killed a rare white buck. That act shattered Dexter's decade-long restraint. He hit Matt over the head with his rifle, set up a kill table in his shed, and stabbed him in the chest, his first ritual kill in 10 years. Jasper Hodge. New blood. Jasper was a drug dealer responsible for supplying the fentanyl-laced pills that nearly killed Harrison. After linking Jasper to multiple deaths, Dexter broke into his cabin and confronted him. He refused to take responsibility. Using Jasper's own stash, Dexter forced him to overdose, staging it to look self-inflicted. Elric Kane. New blood. He bound Dexter in the back seat of his car, but Dexter escaped by choking Kane and causing a crash. Elric shot Dexter in the leg as he fled, but during the ensuing chase, Dexter turned the tables, subdued him, and killed him. He covered Kane's body with a tarp, later returning to dispose of it. Kurt Caldwell. New blood. Kurt, Matt's father, posed as a charitable local leader, but secretly abducted, hunted, and killed runaway girls. He embalmed their bodies and displayed them in a bunker beneath his property. When Dexter and Harrison uncovered the truth, Dexter ambushed Kurt as he was trying to flee town. He strapped Kurt to a kill table inside his bunker, confronted him with the faces of his victims.
Oh, I saved them. They're just runaways.
And stabbed him in the chest, all with Harrison watching. Wiggles the Clown. New blood in novels. Wiggles was a children's entertainer who used his costume to lure and kill kids. His existence was revealed only through Dexter's conversation with Harrison, as an example of a clear code-approved target. In the flashback, Wiggles is shown tied to a kill table in full clown makeup, begging for his life before Dexter kills him. He was the same character in the show and the novels. Sergeant Logan. New blood. Logan was a good cop, a high school wrestling coach, and one of the few in Iron Lake who truly cared for Dexter and Harrison. When Angela arrested Dexter, Logan was assigned to guard him. Desperate to escape and reach Harrison, Dexter tried to manipulate Logan into opening his cell. When Logan drew his gun, Dexter snapped his neck in a single brutal move. It was the first time Dexter knowingly killed an innocent man to save himself. Ronald Red Schmidt, the Dark Passenger. Resurrection. Red was a New York serial killer targeting and decapitating rideshare drivers, known in the media as the Dark Passenger. Dexter identifies and traps him.
Your name? Who are you? I'm Dexter. And there's only room in this world for one dark passenger.
Kills him in his home. He assumed Schmidt's identity and used his thumbprint to infiltrate Leon Prater's secret society of killers. Lowell, the tattoo collector. Lowell was a sadistic killer who preserved tattoos from his victim's skin as trophies. Dexter intercepted him as he was about to abduct another victim, using Lowell's own anesthesia against him. He brought him back to the tattoo shop.
Why do you keep the skins?
I like looking at him.
Exposed his crimes, and stabbed him through the heart, ending one of the network's most grotesque predators. Gareth's twin, Resurrection. Gareth's twin was the louder half of the Gemini duo. Arrogant and obsessed with fame, he caught Dexter following him and reading a coded note meant for his brother. Tracking Dexter back home, he accepted a drink laced with M99. Once subdued, Dexter stabbed him in the chest, eliminating one half of the Gemini legacy, although he didn't know he was a twin at the time. Gareth Gemini Killer. Resurrection. Gareth was the quieter twin of the Gemini Killers, known for staging paired victims with their throats slit and bodies posed symmetrically. At a gathering of Leon Prater's network, he grew suspicious of Dexter and attacked with a broken wine glass after hearing his brother was dead.
Did you feel a sting in your chest last night? Around 8:20?
Why?
Because that's when I stabbed your brother in the chest.
Dexter overpowered him and drove the glass into his neck, killing him in front of the group. Leon Prater. Resurrection. A billionaire venture capitalist and public philanthropist who secretly curated a private vault of serial killer memorabilia, including trophies from their kills. He hosted invitation-only gatherings for active killers, a de facto serial killer club run from his Manhattan manor. His fixer, Charlie, recruited attendees and carried out orders, while Prater bankrolled the operation and maintained the vault. When Dexter refused to kill Angel Batista, Prater impulsively shot Batista in the back and locked Dexter inside the vault to die. With Harrison's help, Dexter escaped, but returned when Prater targeted Harrison.
So thank you for giving me the, what did you call that? The itch, the need, the great yearning?
The urge.
Offering himself in exchange for his son's life, Dexter was refused. Harrison incapacitated Prater with M99, allowing Dexter to kill and dismember him. Before leaving, Dexter triggered the vault alarm so NYPD would uncover Prater's files and link him to Batista's murder, then dump the remains in New York Harbor. Dexter didn't take a trophy stating he didn't want to remember Prater. Coleman and Max Lindquist, early cuts. A father-son duo who ritualistically decapitated victims with a hacksaw, posing the bodies to match their sadistic fantasies. Dexter tracked them down and captured both. He bound them side by side, forcing them to hear each other's final words before killing them. One of his earliest and most brutal double kills. Robert Milson, early cuts. Milson was a sadistic killer who lured women through online ads and then murdered them. Dexter uncovered his pattern and took him to a prepared kill room. Strapped down, Milson offered excuses, but Dexter silenced him permanently with a knife to the chest. Peter Thornton, early cuts. Thornton was a known sexual predator who assaulted multiple women but always avoided conviction. Dexter posed as a potential victim to lure him into a trap. After subduing him with M99, Dexter confronted him with his crimes before delivering the kill. Dexter novel kills. Unnamed shop teacher, a predatory shop teacher at Dexter's high school. The details of his crimes are only implied, but Dexter killed him off page, taking his second blood slide. Nurse Mary was his first in the novels. 34 early victims. Before the first novel begins, Dexter has already killed at least 34 unnamed predators, each confirmed with a blood slide. These unseen kills firmly establish him as active long before the events of the first book. Randy McGregor, a violent predator whose crimes escalated toward murder. Dexter tortured him, cutting off 4 of his fingers before killing him. His blood provided slide number 40. Steve Riker, another of Dexter's off-page kills, established through mention. The method isn't specified, but blood slide 41 confirms he was a victim of the ritual. Alexander Xander Macaulay, a sadistic predator linked to ritual murders, implied to have been dispatched with a fillet knife. 2 unnamed guards. While infiltrating the cult, Dexter killed 2 guards. One died from having his head smashed against a wall, the other from a knife to the solar plexus. No slides were taken, as these were survival kills. Darius Starzak, a cult-connected killer whom Dexter initially failed to finish on the table. Later, in self-defense, Dexter shot him. No slide was taken, marking this as one of his rare improvised kills. Professor Wilkins, another cult member. Dexter shot him rather than performing a ritual kill. Alex Doncevich, an artist who staged human bodies as grotesque installations. Dexter killed him with a surgical saw in his own bathtub, slicing him into pieces. However, Dexter later finds out that he wasn't a murderer. He and his partner stole the bodies from a morgue. Killing Alex led to his partner Brandon Weiss becoming an actual killer going after Dexter and his family. Victor Chapin, a predator involved in a cannibal cult, Dexter carved him up with a fillet knife. Unnamed cannibal, part of the same cannibal circle, Dexter killed him with a tire iron to the head. Bobby Acosta, Vlad, a member of the Acosta crime family tied to the cannibalism plot, Dexter captured and killed him. Unnamed pedophile. At the beginning of the novel Double Dexter, he is in an abandoned house dismembering a pedophile. A witness watches with Dexter unaware that he's there. He only hears him leaving. This witness becomes a copycat killer and tries to frame Dexter for multiple killings and goes after his family. Bernard Elon, alias Doug Crowley, a serial copycat obsessed with Dexter. After multiple encounters, Dexter fed him alive to a hammerhead shark with Astor's help. 4 unnamed victims, mentioned only in reference. 4 additional ritual kills are confirmed between books, all with slides collected. Ivan, a cartel bomber, tortured and killed by Dexter and Brian together. Patrick Bergman, Dexter's final cut. Patrick Bergman was a serial stalker obsessed with actress Jackie Forrest. He murdered multiple women who resembled her, slashing, hacking, and collecting bizarre trophies. After Dexter was assigned to protect Jackie, he uncovered Bergman's pattern and got rid of him, drowning him in the bay while pretending to save him. Robert Chase. Robert is a famous actor who shadows Dexter while researching his character. He's a pedophile targeting Dexter's stepdaughter, Astor. He murders Rita after she catches him in the act. He's ready to kill Dexter, but Astor kills him first when Robert mentions an escape without her. Though Dexter didn't kill Chase or Rita, he is charged for both murders. Unnamed guard. During the climax, Dexter stabbed a guard aboard Raoul's yacht with his ritual knife. This was one of his final kills before the series ended. Frank Crownhour. Crownhour was a powerful Miami attorney with deep cartel ties. He manipulated the courts, erased evidence, and framed Dexter while protecting killers. Dexter eventually captured him and delivered justice, ending the life of a man whose crimes were committed through influence rather than blood. There were also 4 additional kills in the comics that weren't mentioned anywhere else. Mustached victim, Octavio, unnamed man, and Bruce Grigsby. Other off-screen victims from the TV show. These were found in the Bay Harbor Butcher burial site, named in case files, reports, or dialogue, but the kills were never shown on screen. All are confirmed code kills by Dexter. The blood slide box found by Dokes contained dozens of confirmed slides. In addition to those named, at least 21 more victims were collected, never shown or named individually. These represent routine code kills carried out entirely off-screen.